Hi, Avril. Oh, I'm going to unmute you because you're first here. Hello.
Are you speaking to me?
Yes.
Oh, I had my headphones and I didn't have them plugged in and I thought I couldn't hear what you said.
Hi. You're early. It's nice.
Well, I just thought I'll better get organised because I'm usually rushing at the last minute. Dog's had a pee, I've had a pee, I've had the tea, and I've been a busy day, so it's nice just to sit down now.
How's your day been?
I've actually had a really good day.
Oh, good.
Which is, it's been, I've done all these horrible jobs I've been avoiding, like hoovering my car out because it's just filthy, and cleaning the dog nose marks off the back windscreen that gets covered in it. And what else? I actually cleaned my windows today. I've got a new toy though. I bought a wee Karcher window vac. It's brilliant.
Oh, that's fab.
So I can see out my windows now.
Oh, nice. You know, I as you know, Avril, I've got two little Jack Russells.
Mm-hmm. So
the bottoms of my windows have
nose marks.
Like nose marks all the way along the bottom, and they're like, and sometimes I just think, why do I even bother?
Well, a wee Karcher vac, they're amazing.
I'll maybe need to invest in one of them. Cool. Everybody's starting to join now. So
right, okay.
No, just having a little chat because we were in the room early, which is really nice. So let's just see who's all coming in. Hello, everybody. We're just in here, just chatting for now whilst everybody shows up. Yeah, and there's Lynn, my little.
Hi.
Hi, my little sidekick. How are you, Lynn?
I'm good. I've no perfume on tonight, but I do have some lipstick on for you. So.
I was going to ask, have you got your perfume on?
No, I don't. And I nearly started to brush my teeth, and then I thought, that's even more mad.
I've got the lippy on, as usual.
You're looking very glamorous, Avril.
Oh, am I? Thank you, Heather. So are you. You're glassy.
Seriously, I'm not. I've been sitting in this chair since about 7 o'clock this morning, and now I'm doing mindful knitting to try and get myself in the right space.
That's amazing.
But I'm looking forward to tonight. Actually, I really need it. It's lovely to see you both. How you doing, Lynn? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
You saying you were putting perfume on to come on the call?
Yeah, that's what I normally do. It's like a little tradition, which is completely ridiculous because
it's not scratch and sniffling.
No, it's not scratching. We've not gone 5D yet.
Not yet. That's next year. That's what 2020 has all been about, guys.
Yeah. I was listening to
for this new virtual world that we will be living in more permanently than we have been.
I know.
Gosh, we've got lots of people joining. How wonderful. Lynn, I am so glad to be back in the Reinventing New room.
Oh, we're so excited today.
And do you see, for those of you who, if there's anyone here from the Wellbeing Cafe, I've been running little free sessions, not just me, there's been other coaches I've got involved in kind of doing little bits in the Wellbeing Cafe. My daughter's been staying at home for about the last 4 weeks. She went home yesterday, so I have my lovely office back. So it's nice to be back in the room regularly. Right, let me see who we've got. I've got quite a few people in the room, and let me just check before I don't want to start before everybody has arrived, so I'll give it another few minutes.
Do you want us muted, Avril?
Yes, don't worry. I'll get round to all the house. Who said that anyway? I don't know who said that.
Me.
Hi, Teresa.
Yes.
Hi. Hi. Yeah, I'll get round to doing all that along with the housekeeping and stuff, Teresa. Yeah, absolutely. But feel free for now if you want to chat or share anything just now. You're welcome to do that. And let me see, how are we doing? Oh. And they're still coming. Lynn, we're going to be busy tonight. Oh, and there's Louise. Hi, Louise. Oh, it's so nice to see some people from the Wellbeing Cafe popping in to listening to the call. That's really nice. And there's Hannah as well. Lots of you. I'm not going to get round and say hi to everybody, but, you know, for those of you who are returners to Reinvent you'll know the script by now, and it's, you know, it's lovely to see some of you back again for more. Gluttons for punishment, I'm sure. And it's so nice to welcome some new members. I had intended to run this round of Reinvent You back in March. However, you know, there's always a someone bigger at me at play than me, and it had other plans for me. So the Reinvent You didn't go ahead in March, and in all honesty, I didn't actually think that I would feel in a space to be able to show up and do a round until much later in the year. However, that bigger thing that's always at play in all of our lives, which we will get to as the weeks unfold, and probably even get to tonight, that bigger thing that's always in play, decided to throw another spanner in the works. I don't know if a spanner in the works is the right thing, but decided to offer up something else for us all. And I think as a result of that, it's been actually really helpful for me. It's been really helpful in helping me to just find a little bit of peace at a time that was quite challenging and stuff. So I was nudged, as I often am, to just kickstart the Reinvent You off again. So here we are tonight, and I'm really excited to be starting again, and I'm really excited to be here with lots of new people. And I'm aware that some of you will have heard a lot of this stuff before, because you've either heard it from me, or maybe you've been on other programs and you may have heard something similar. But what I always say to everybody is, when we come into the room together here, particularly in the Reinventing You rooms, we come with an open heart, and as much as we can, an empty mind. We're always much more able to see something we've maybe never seen before, even if we've heard the same or similar words, or we've heard it from an intellectual perspective elsewhere, or even from me. So that's probably the first thing I'd invite you to do while you're here. As much as you can, just allow yourself to be as present as you can, and to just let your heart be open, or heart, whatever you want to call it, inner wisdom, whatever it is. Just allow yourself to be as open as you can be. And whatever I share as tonight unfolds, or if you're here for the rest of the time we're in Reinventing You, I just invite you to listen, not from an intellectual perspective. And what I mean by that is not from a perspective of, I need to figure this stuff out. You know, I need to really get my head around what Avril's saying, because what I want to offer to you is that what I'm going to be sharing with you in the coming weeks is that there really isn't anything to get your head around as such. It's a really simplistic way of experiencing life, and I would say experiencing life from the inside out. And sometimes our mind, or our thinking mind, because of the way it is, it does want to go into that over analysis mode. So I just want to invite you just to be as present and as open as you can. And as one of my wonderful mentors, who always says to me, just, listen for the feeling. Just listen for the feeling and how it makes you feel inside. And that's where I would nudge you to look towards always is where, you know, that feeling that you get, that good feeling that you get. And if you feel a sense of there's something ringing true for you, then follow that. You know, it's I think about, you know, when you put, you know, when you go on a walk in the forest and you leave little bits, I don't know if anybody, maybe it was just me that did this as a kid, but I would, you know, go out for walks with friends and leave a little trail so as that I would find my way back again. So just follow it as if it's a little trail like that leading you back home again. So anyway, I think that's us all in the room now. Now I have my tea and I have my lipstick on. That's the way this will go every single week. I will always refer to tea, lipstick and Lynn's perfume. So I'm just saying that up front now. I'm warning you. For those of you who've never met me before, my name's Avril Gill. I am a transformational coach and I guess a hypnotherapist, although I tend not to even mention that much these days. But that's not why you're here tonight. You're not here to be coached by a transformational coach as such. You're really just here for me to help you look in a new direction and maybe find a different path for you to follow with whatever's going on for you in your life. So I've been doing this work, sharing this understanding for probably several years now. Most of those years I haven't realised I've been sharing what I'm about to share with you over the coming weeks. But I'm aware that I have been sharing it for the last 3 or 4 years and all the teaching that I do. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here. I'm not going to go into too much about me yet because sometimes I just ramble on, and you'll get to hear the stories of my life as the weeks unfold. Tonight and for the rest of the programme, and the entire time that you're in the Reinventing You group, we will be supported and helped by the lovely Lynn Sutherland. Give yourself a wave, Lynn.
Hi.
So we'll be helped and supported by Lynn. Lynn is, I suppose, my head coach. Lynn was one of my students a number of years ago, and she's really just followed me. I don't know why, Lynn. I'm impressed that you do. She's really walked the path with me over the last few years, and as my understanding and my awareness has deepened, Lynn has come along with me, and now she's here with me in this group, and she's been with me with the Reinventing You work ever since it started, I guess, Lynn, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, first round.
From the very first round. So Lynn's been here since the beginning. So Lynn will do a brilliant job, as she always does. She's amazing. She's got an amazing wisdom, amazing pearls inside that she just comes out with that blows my mind at times too. So Lynn will be supporting me, supporting you guys over the next coming weeks with anything that just shows up moment to moment on the calls. I'm hoping that Lynn is going to take care of some of the technical things when we're inside the call. So in terms of sort of housekeeping things, so that leads me nicely into that, Lynn will hopefully be able to keep an eye out if anybody's got their hand up for a question or anybody has popped something up in the chat. Now, if you do want to ask a question or put anything in the chat, there's a little bar at the bottom of your screen where it says participants. If you click on the participant link, you should get a little panel up on the right hand side. Yeah, the right hand side. And in there you'll see all the participants, and that's where there should be a little hand where you can just press to put your hand up to say something or type in a question that you want to ask. And Lynn's pretty spot on at seeing the questions coming in, and she'll do her best to answer them as she spots them. I'll be honest, it's unlikely that I will spot the questions because I will be too busy talking. So, because I ramble on forever, but Lynn will be on it. She always is. And if there's anything that you want to bring into the conversation, you're welcome to do that at any time. So in terms of how the 8 weeks will unfold, for those of you who are new to the call, a few years back, I wrote a book, and the calls basically or loosely follow the chapters inside that book. And at the time when I wrote the book, I think I called it my 8 steps to transformation. So what I want to say to you is that whilst in my book I called it the 8 steps of transformation, I don't technically see it like that. It's just these are 8 areas of life for me that were really impacted, and where I saw I was able to experience deep and lasting change when I used what I'm about to share with you tonight, which is the first, which is really the foundation. It's the underlying principles of where all of this stuff really comes from. So we will loosely follow those 8 steps. We will, I am sure, go off in different directions, and that's absolutely okay, because I'm really open to trusting that the conversation will go wherever it needs to go, or it's wanting to go, I guess. But we'll always come back to what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is really as I say, the foundation on which everything from which everything comes from, and that's the psychological and spiritual nature of thought. So that's kind of roughly how things will unfold. It'll be pretty organic because we're in this live environment together and coming together with all this lovely energy. So with that, always brings wonderful surprises for me and for you guys, and also some wonderful insights. And I like to trust that's okay. So I hope you can be with me in that space and that feels comfortable for you. In terms of speaking on the call, for those of you who are Reinventing new members, what I'd just like to say is that there is no pressure to speak up, ever. And this is really, really important. If you want to just sit back and listen and absorb whatever's been shared by either myself or Lynn or anybody else, that's absolutely okay. There is no expectation here in this group from any of us, certainly not from me and certainly not from Lynn, for you to perform in any way or feel that you have to say something. So if it's your preference just to sit back and soak up, then that's perfectly okay with us. We're happy, either way, whatever works for you. So, have I missed anything else? I think let me just check my housekeeping list and stuff. So I think that's everything. Lynn, do you want to say anything? Do you want to share?
No.
Say hello. I knew you were going to say no. She's like, no, I'm just going to sit back and soak up.
No, yeah, it's just lovely to be here again, and like Avril said, it's just sitting back and taking it all in, and every time I've ran the course I've heard and seen something different. So whatever brought you onto the course, I suppose I'm sure you'll find something will speak to you, whatever that you've come onto the course and looked for. Certainly my life's transformed over the last 5-6 years. I always reflect back from years experiencing sort of depression, anxiety, searching for something that was going to fix me, and I didn't have to look anywhere really. All the answers were already inside me. So yeah, and I think, like Avril said, I read somewhere it's like listening to music. We don't try and work out the notes or what we're hearing, but something will hopefully just create a feeling within you that resonates with you as the weeks unfold. So and housekeeping wise, because there's so many on the call, if I don't see your hand, just give me a little wave, even if you can, if your video's on, and I'll try my best to direct you over to Avril and answer any questions as we go along as well. So it's just great to see everyone here, especially in the current climate that we're in, and this course always keeps me grounded anyway as well.
I love how I've put all that pressure
on you for now.
on you to keep up with all the chat and stuff. I do apologise. It wasn't intentional.
No, that's fine.
No,
I'm on my laptop. I'm normally on my Mac, so but yeah, I can see all the names, but only if I scroll up and down. So
yeah.
But yeah, a wee wave or the hand click should work.
Well, I'll do my best to keep an eye out as well. I won't. I'll make sure that if there's someone you're chatting or whatever, I'll keep my eye out too. Cool. Okay, so the one thing I do want to say about the next, the 8 weeks that we spend together and beyond, because if you've joined the course tonight as a Reinventing You member, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, that you can participate on every single one of these 8-week rounds that we do, and I do 3 or 4 a year, just depending on when we start. So I don't know how many is going to happen this year, but it might change this year actually, because Lynn and I have been chatting about that. But basically what it means that now that you're here, you can keep coming back for as much or as little as you want, and that's it. You never have to pay anything else again, which is amazing. I don't know any other course that does that, to be quite honest. There's usually always an extra charge, and it was something that I felt quite strongly about doing because of my own personal background and the experiences that I've had over the years overcoming post-traumatic stress and various other things from trauma that I experienced in childhood, and then spending years in therapy, if you want to call it that, only feeling worse about myself. And when I came into what I'm going to be sharing with you guys, the realization that I got was, my biggest realization was, flipping heck, I'm being polite, I'm not swearing, flipping heck, I'm not broken after all, and there's nothing wrong with me. And I've spent all of these years, in and out therapy, and I did for many years of my life. That when that happened to me, when I had that realization that I'm okay, and I came back home to myself and I saw what I saw, I promised myself that as best as I could, and provided I was in a position to do so, I would do my best to make this as accessible to people as I possibly could. And when people came into the programme, they could just be in it for as long as they wanted to, until they were ready to move on and maybe continue their journey elsewhere. Now, and I can only share what I have seen, and I can only take you as far as I have gone in my own personal journey and my own awareness. And I think that's really important for me to just share that with you, that I can only take you as far as I've gone. So you might be in a completely different place. I don't know why everybody's here, or what all your backgrounds are, or what your own understanding is, but I can only do that. And everything that I do share, it does come from my own experience and my own understanding and what I've learned along the way. And I share it with the genuine hope that it helps you see something different that you've maybe not seen before, that will help you navigate your way through life in a gentler, more peaceful and easier way. And that to me is what this course is all about. Just helping to help you and me keep looking in a different direction to maybe some of the directions we were looking before. And I just really, to kind of start things off, if everyone's okay with that, I just want to tell you a little kind of anecdote. It's not a real story, it's kind of a made up story that I always tell. So if you've heard it before, I'm not going to apologise. But it's a story I always tell about, how our mind works. And it's a really nice entry point into me sharing this understanding. And I just want you to imagine for a minute that you go to a cash machine one day and you put in your card and you ask the cash machine for, I don't know, a 10 or 20 quid, whatever it is. I know this is a bit old. I feel this is really old fashioned now, given that we can't even use cash at the minute. But anyway, so you put your card into the machine and you ask the machine for 10 or 20 quid. And the machine says no. Insufficient funds. Sorry, there's no cash today, Avron. So maybe I'm on my way home from work that day, and I work in Edinburgh, I live in Dunfermline, so I'm at the train station. The machine at the train station says no, insufficient funds. So I start thinking, what the heck is going on? Why have I no money in my bank account? What's happened to all my cash? So then I start thinking, what if someone's hacked into my account and stolen all my money? Or what if my teenage daughter, I've not got a teenage daughter yet, but I did have one, and she did actually do something with my card once, hilariously. What if my teenage daughter has taken my card and gone and spent all my money online? So what starts to happen in my head is all these stories start coming into my mind about where all my money has gone. What's happened to it? Where's it gone? And me being me, and this isn't a real story, but I know me really well, me being me, I might automatically jump and blame my husband and think, well, he's gone and spent everything. He's probably spent a fortune on rugby tickets or bought new cycling gear or something like that. So this is where my mind goes. And I start thinking all sorts of things, once I start thinking one thing, I keep adding more and more and more and more stuff to it till it gets to the point where I'm not a happy bunny at all. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, I'm worried, I'm panicking, I'm maybe even in fear. And I'm on the train heading back home after a long day at work, and I'm tired as well, which isn't helping. And I'm maybe on the phone to my husband, shouting at him, saying, what have you done with all the money? What's going on here? And getting angry and all the rest of it. And then finally I arrive home. And when I arrive home, I maybe shout and scream at my husband or my teenage daughter for buying stuff on the internet that she wasn't meant to buy, or whatever it is. I'm up here, in my head is full of all of this stuff. And I'm worrying about, how I get my shopping, or how I pay my mortgage, or whatever else is there that I've got to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And because I love tea, I decide to go and make myself a cup of tea and then sit down and switch the TV on. And I switch the TV on, and there's maybe something on the TV that I start to watch. It might be a comedy or something. I don't know what comedy, but it might be a comedy, or it just might be something that I really enjoy watching. So I start to watch it. And then my phone pings. So I pick up my phone and it's my best friend sending me a funny GIF, and I read the funny GIF on my phone and have a little chuckle to myself. And in that moment, I'm feeling completely different. You know, I'm not caught up in all the worry and fears, frustration, and maybe even anger that I was a moment before. In the moment that I'm watching the TV or looking at my phone, I'm feeling okay, and I'm laughing and I'm giggling. You know, I'm maybe texting my friend back and having a good old joke with her or whatever I'm doing. But the interesting thing is, I still don't have any money in my bank account. There's still nothing there. And if I was to take myself off and go to the nearest cash machine and type in my PIN number, it would still say insufficient funds. So nothing has changed yet. In that moment, from me arriving home and sitting down on the sofa and reading a text or watching something else on TV, or maybe even listening to a piece of music, who knows? My mood has gone from up here to way down here. And maybe even to the extent of laughing and smiling, yet nothing has changed. So the question I asked myself, and this was the question I asked myself when I saw what I'm going to be sharing with you over the next 8 weeks, is how is that possible? How is it even possible for that to happen to me? To go from 1 minute feeling angry or annoyed or frustrated because I've got no money in my bank account, to a moment later feeling calm and laughing and feeling happy. Now, I've had that experience, and this is real what I'm about to share with you. I have had that experience so many times, but the moment that it really hit home for me, well, there's 2 moments that it really hit home for me, big moments in my life, was when I lost my parents. Now, the first time was when I lost my mum, and she died nearly 7 years ago now. And I remember the state that I was in. We'd got a phone call from my brother saying, you need to get here. I'm waiting on an ambulance coming, mum has died. And I just went into sheer panic. I couldn't speak. I can't even begin to explain all the emotions that were there. It was just the most awful experience. Now, I live in Dunfermline, and my mum lived out in Innerwick, out down by Dunbarry. I don't know if how familiar any of you are with the geography here, but anyway. So it's a fair little trek to go from here out to Innerwick. And this was like 1, 2 in the morning. And I remember, all I remember was my husband saying, now, come on, let's just get in the car, I'll drive you there. And my head was over and over, it was all this stuff in my head. I'd only just seen her a couple of hours before, and I did not see it coming at all. So we're in the car, and halfway along the bypass, I just had the strangest feeling come over me. I just heard her saying, "It's okay, Avril. Everything's going to be okay." And then something along the lines of, it really makes me smile now when I think about it, something along the lines of, you need to stop taking life so seriously, And in that moment, all that emotion, everything that was in my head just dissolved away is the best word that I can explain. The best way to describe it. It was like everything just dissolved away, and I had this moment of absolute clarity wash over me. Something, I think I've experienced it before, but never as powerful as this. And this absolute feeling of peace. Peace. But nothing had changed outside. My mum had still gone. But there were, halfway along that bypass, I just had this sense of being taken care of, peace, clarity, and knowing. And I don't know what the knowing was about. I have no idea what, and we might laugh about this a lot in the coming weeks. I have no idea what that knowing was about. I just knew something, and everything was okay. And it stayed with me until that huge sense of peace just stayed with me until we arrived at my mum's door. And then, as quick as it was there, it was gone again, because there was an ambulance outside the door, and then I just again got caught up in all of that stuff again. And then the next time I experienced it, again, it was around, I've experienced it at other times, but the biggest moments for me, and I think these are important for me to share. The next time I experienced it was when my dad passed away 2 years later. My husband and I were having a family holiday in Greece, and then we got the phone call, and the same thing happened, but that time it was different, because I had had such a big shift in my awareness of what was really going on, that when the news came, the peacefulness came, that sense of peace came to me much quicker than it did before, and I could see it. And I remembered at that time, in fact, it was at that time that I was writing my book, which was really bizarre because we'd gone on this family holiday. So as that part of the plan was that I would get up at 5 a.m. and I would just take off with my laptop and go write while the sun came up, and then meet the family. We'd have breakfast and then we'd have our day together. Because we had a little one, we couldn't party and stay up all night. So that suited us really well. Needless to say, not much of the book got written, but it was the strangest thing. There was just such a peacefulness that I was able to just stay fully present and in the moment during that whole time. Even though this was all happening thousands of miles away, and thousands of miles away from where I was at that time. And it's the strangest thing, and it's a question that it still amazes me when I say, how is that possible? But what I know now and what I've seen many, many times since is that it's possible because we have got our understanding of life all the wrong way around. We see life as something happening outside of us and happening to us, as opposed to what I experienced in those moments, and with my little makeup story about going to the cash line, as opposed to life happening from the inside out and flowing through us. Because when we experience life from the outside in, we think our entire well-being is wrapped up in all of those external experiences. We think that as long as I have enough money in the cash machine, I'll be okay. But when I was sat on that sofa that day, make believe or not, and I had no money in the cash machine, I was still okay. There was still a moment in time where I was able to lean in to my own well-being. Now, I couldn't do that if that well-being was outside of me and was dependent upon an outside circumstance. And the same goes for when both my parents died. If my well-being in that moment was dependent on my mum being there and alive, there's no way I would have sensed that most powerful experience that I experienced at that time. You know? So we've got it all the wrong way round. We're living our lives from the outside in and becoming dependent on those outside experiences to bring us peace, well-being, healing, whatever it is. And again, I can look back, at my own career in the world of coaching and hypnotherapy and all the things that I used to do. All the little techniques that I used to rely on to make me feel better. Again, it's like, well, if I just do some tapping, I don't know if any of you know tapping, let's just do some karate chop tapping and I'll feel better. And again, that's kind of, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these things. Please don't think that for a minute, because I think they're helpful. And often at a time when we can, it's so difficult for us to see something different. And they're helpful, but the downside is, like all things that happen on the outside, they're short-lived. It's like a little mini placebo take for a short moment in time to help us feel good. It's like getting out the credit card and rocking up into town. My favourite used to be George Street, and just hit the shops and get myself a few new outfits to help me feel better inside. And and that's not how it works. We really, what I see now is that I really had it all the wrong way around. And I came across an understanding many, many years ago by a chap called Sid Banks. And at the time, I didn't see anything in it. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I was a bit blind to what he was sharing. And over the years, I kind of dipped in and out this understanding. But now, I see it in a way that I had never seen it before. And Sid Banks talks about the three principles, the three psychological and spiritual principles of our mind, or that we all live by. And he calls them thought, mind, and consciousness. Now, as I share this with you, I really want to encourage you to, as much as you can, not to try and figure this out or get all intellectual about it. Just to kind of listen and just sense whatever you sense and see whatever you see. Because the one thing that I do know is that there is not a right or a wrong way to be in this understanding. There is just your way. And I will come to that as we move on through the group coaching. But he talks about the psychological and spiritual nature of us all as humans. And when we understand how our minds really work and how it operates, how the system, I like to use the word align because that's just a word I've used for 20 odd years in coaching. How when everything is aligned in a certain way and we can understand that alignment, that we can far easier, easily navigate through life from a place of well-being and from a place that comes from the inside rather than the outside. And that being, and again, going back to the idea that my well-being isn't dependent on anything on the outside. My well-being isn't dependent on being the right size, wearing the right clothes, being in the right relationship, or anything, you know, or having not experienced any trauma in childhood, or having not experienced depression or anxiety. You know, none of that on the outside really needs to impact our well-being. And I want to just draw you a little picture, because I like to draw pictures. There's so many faces on the screen, I'm scared. So, this little drawing, you can chat, Lynn, while I draw. I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding.
I'm just always intrigued by your drawings, Avril.
Love the little artist me. Oh, you're going to love my spelling as well, but never mind. I can hear a kitty. So, can everybody see this? I'll come a bit closer. Can everybody see this? So when I told you about that little story about going to the cash machine, what happened for me was I went to the cash machine, which is an outside experience. I'm just going to put a wee line here. So I went to the cash machine. There's a wee cash machine there. Plugged in my number. If you can't see it, tell me. I plugged in my number and it went, the computer says no. And then immediately I went up into my thoughts.
Can't see it, Avril.
Sorry?
Can't see it, it's Pauline, I can't see you.
How's that? Is that better?
No, unless I come and sit beside you. Just explain it, it'll be fine, I'll get the gist.
So I had a thought, oh, where's all my money gone? So I had a little thought, and that led to another little thought. You know, and all of these thoughts that were popping into my head were probably partly a lot of new thinking, but a lot of them were coming from my consciousness, which is, I'll draw a little bubble around that to kind of make it a bit clearer, which is basically all our lived experiences. You know, all the experiences that we've had in our life, whether we're consciously aware of them or not. They're all the beliefs we have, all the values we have, just everything that we've experienced is our consciousness, or in other words, our awareness. So as much as we are conscious in that moment in time, what will happen is we will have a thought and consciousness will throw up more stuff to add to that thought. Therefore, our consciousness gives meaning or adds meaning to the thoughts that are running through our mind. So, in my little cash machine example, here's what happens. Avril toddles off to the cash machine, puts in her number, there's no cash in the machine. I have a thought, oh no, I have no money. And all my lived experience that I've had throughout my entire life starts just throwing in little bits of stuff to add more and more meaning to that. And that meaning might come in the form of, oh, you know, what if my daughter's done something with my card? And, you know, what if? And we keep adding all this stuff. And those thoughts then just become bigger and bigger. And there's more and more meaning added to it. But when I look in another direction, I don't know, let's look down, I'll come down here and I'm at home on my sofa. And that's fine because that's what we do. When I look in another direction, I'm on the sofa and looking at my phone, I'm getting all these different thoughts coming in. you know, from a conscious experience. Oh, that's my lovely friend Lynn. She always sends me funny texts or funny gifts, and I can have a giggle and a laugh. And that's what our mind does all the time. All the time, from the moment we're born till the moment we go, our mind will continue to do that. But what we don't know is there's something bigger at play going on. I don't know if behind the scenes is the right way to describe it, but it's one way to describe it is there's another part of the system that we've either forgotten or we know is there, but we just don't connect to it or see it, or mainly often because we've been taught that actually this is where we need to live, in our lovely little thinking mind here, where all the thoughts and where we do all the analysing and all the rest of it. But there's another part of the system that's largely ignored, and that's what I call our inner wisdom or source. It's the place from which all thought comes from. It's a place inside us where our well-being resides, and everything flows from there. Everything flows from there, and we can never stop it. It's always coming, and it's always happening. If we learn, and I don't know how we learn, but we do, if we learn to slow down enough, and rather than jumping on these thoughts and adding meaning to them, this part over here, this mind, this source, this wisdom, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, will keep bringing us something new. So if we can learn to slow our minds down enough, the system will bring something new through for us to see, because it's always working. Thought, mind, and consciousness is always working. One cannot exist without the other. So if I don't get caught up in the meaning that I'm making to all the thoughts coming through, and if I leave them alone for long enough, eventually something new will come through. And when that something new comes through, I'm looking in a different direction, and I'll have a completely different experience. And going back to my cash machine explanation, that different experience is when I take my awareness over to my phone and I see the silly GIF or whatever it is that Lynn has sent me, then I find myself in a different feeling. I find myself at that moment in a feeling that's more uplifting, that feels good. But the problem is we have been taught, I guess, innocently taught to equate what we think and what we experience on the outside is as one thing, and they're completely separate things. They're two completely separate things, that I can have that outside experience and have a completely different internal experience, irrespective of what's going on in the outside. And the only thing that determines what I'm feeling in the moment is what I'm thinking in the moment. And if I can become aware enough of what I'm thinking in the moment and choose to look in a different direction, then the experience that I'm having in that moment can almost dissolve instantly. Just like I shared with that experience with my mum, and in an instant that experience that I was having was completely transformed. It dissolved away. It dissolved away into a place of peace. I don't know how I did that in that moment. I didn't do anything, in fact, because see, that's the thing, that there isn't a way to do this. The only way into this, if that is even the right thing to say, is awareness and understanding that there's something deeper at play inside each and every one of us. Every single one of us. And what I've come to learn and understand is that we all have the ability to experience this. Every single one of us. Every single one of us. We all have the ability to experience this well of well-being within us. And there's no single person on this earth, no single person on this earth who's any more capable than you or I when it comes to having this experience of well-being, no matter where they come from, no matter what their education is. And this is what's really important for me about this whole understanding, is that we are all equals, and we all are born with this equal capacity to experience our own innate well-being. No one gets left out. I think what I've come to see for myself is where if there are differences lie, are just differences in our understanding and differences in our own awareness of where this comes from. But the moment you start to see that everything that you're experiencing, and I mean everything, and this is why the course is designed the way it's designed, so as I can take you along this path, so as that you might see something that you haven't seen before. But everything that you are experiencing is happening to you on the inside. It's not happening from the outside in. You know, if it's not your kids, it is not your partner, it's not that you have no money in your bank account, it's not that your business doesn't really exist. It's all on the inside. It's nothing to do with what's going on out there. But what happens is when we get caught up in our thinking, we tend to jump on the thoughts and we meddle with them and we add stuff to it. And then when we add stuff to it, we get caught up in this tangle inside our minds, so much so that we believe it. We absolutely believe it. We believe everything that we think, and we believe that it's real. But none of it's real. None of it's real. It's just we are experiencing the feelings of our thinking in the moment. And when we can begin to see where those thoughts are coming from and how they can move through us, providing, and we're human. That's what the system's designed to do. The thought's designed to come through us, and it's designed so that we can add meaning to it, so that we can create something. But when we find ourselves in situations that are not helpful, and we are adding more and more stuff to it, it just creates more and more stress and anxiety and all sorts of things for us. Does that make sense? I've talked a lot. I feel like I could go on forever, but I've just realised the time. We might run over a bit late tonight. We might run over late every night. So if you need to be awake 9 o'clock, you can do that. I won't be offended. But equally, I will stay for as long as it feels right for me to say. So let me just see where we're at. Is there any questions, Lynn?
I had a wee technical hitch there. My laptop crashed, and so I'm now on my phone, so I missed the last few minutes there.
That's okay.
So we didn't have any questions. No, I can't see any.
No.
I am on my phone at the moment.
I'll just check, see if there's anything. I can't see any. Oh, hang on, it says there are some. No, I think there's nothing up there. So if anybody wants to ask me anything, you're welcome to just pop up your little hand, and Lynn and I'll keep her eyes peeled for that. So there's something I want to share with you as well, because I'll bring this in most weeks. And it's a little snow globe, and probably, please don't try and figure this out. I've probably explained it pretty rubbishly anyway, but I've explained it the best I could tonight. And, you know, next week I'll explain it differently, but the same, and it always comes out different. And that's when, to me, that's where, when truth, when you can sense truth, when it just comes out as it's meant to come out. So whatever I'm sharing tonight, that's the truth as I'm seeing it in this moment. And that's what I really want to invite you to hold on to. So someone's saying, so how do you focus on the inside when the outside is your pattern? Who said that? That's a really good question.
That was Teresa.
Teresa, I love that question. That's the kind of question I would ask. So, I don't have an answer. All I'd probably invite you to do, Teresa, for now anyway, and this is probably something I didn't say at the start, all I would invite you to do is just to listen and do nothing right now. And I don't mean do nothing as in do nothing, you know, just listen and hear whatever it is that you hear, but mostly listen for a feeling. And if something resonates with you, just kind of stay with that for as long as you can, you know, until something else comes along. But for now, you're here, and you know, you've got me for the next 8 weeks, and we are just, you know, touching the edges tonight, really just touching the edges tonight of, you know, something that's so much deeper than, you know, what I'm able to kind of go into. So for now, I would just invite you just to listen, and listen for anything that feels true to you, if that makes sense. She's like, she's not answered my question.
Yeah, it's just when you're repeating patterns of behaviour that are coming from outside influences, and you desperately want to move and change from that, how do you do it?
Yeah. Well, for me, Teresa, and I will share lots more as the weeks unfold, for me, what I've learned and what I've seen is that when I am caught up in thought and adding meaning, which is the simplest way for me to describe it, I'll go back to my little drawing. When I'm caught up in thought and adding meaning, what's happening, I'm so focused on this isn't coming through. I'm blindsided to my own wisdom. I can't see anything fresh or new coming through because I'm so blind, because I'm caught up in here. Often what I refer to is my snowstorm. I'm caught up in a snow. If you think about a blizzard and stormy weather, we all know when that blizzard is over, when the snow stops, the clouds go, there will always be blue sky there. And that's our inner wisdom. You know, it's always there. It never leaves us. It never goes. But when we're caught up in a blizzard, we can't see that blue sky. We don't even remember that it's there. And the same things happen for us when we are caught up in that, as Lynn likes to call it, when we're tangled up in the spaghetti of our minds, we forget that there's a deeper wisdom there within us. We forget that there's a blue sky still. And if we leave it alone long enough, the spaghetti will untangle itself and find its equilibrium. And if we leave our thinking alone long enough, it will settle and we'll start to see clearly again. So in those moments when it feels like it's everything from the outside coming at me, and I notice that I'm getting caught up in it, I know for me, the best thing for me to do is just to do nothing in that moment except whatever occurs to me to do next, if that makes sense. So I've brought this because some of the wonderful teachers that I've worked with over the years use this sort of snow globe analogy, just like I've described. So if I shake my snow globe up, and if we imagine that snow globe as being all our thoughts, shook up, and we keep shaking it up, and we try and see the picture inside the snow globe, we can't see anything because it's full of all the thinking and all the meddling that we've been doing with our thinking. We do this innocently, and it's, please hope you understand this. I'm not saying this. I'm definitely not saying, now you shouldn't meddle, that's naughty. I'm not, because we do it innocently. It's the nature of our mind. You know, the way the psychological and spiritual nature of our mind is designed to bring thought through, and then the thought that comes through, our consciousness is there so that we can add stuff to it and create something out of it. But more often than not, what we're creating isn't helpful for us because we've been so used to creating all the unhelpful stuff. But when those thoughts come in, if we leave them alone long enough, they settle. I don't know what's on my snow globe. It's London. I forgot which one. I've got loads of them. And we start to get more clarity and start to see the picture coming through. And that, over the next 8 weeks, over the next 8 weeks didn't sound right there. I thought I'd said 8 years. Maybe you will be here with me in 8 years. Who knows? Over the next 8 weeks, my job is to take care of this for you, for all of you who are in the program. My job is I'm not here to fix you because you're not broken. And I do not care what you're coming into this room with, because I know where I came from. And I was as broken can be, but I'm not, and I never was. So I'm not here to fix you because you're not broken. But what I can take care of and do the very best that I can do is to help to point you in a direction that you've maybe never looked in before, that you've been blindsided to because of all the traditional way that we are taught to deal with our problems. So that's what I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you to find your own way of unraveling your spaghetti. Lynn, I am so grateful for that metaphor. I can unravel it for you, much as I'd love to, because I know how amazing it feels to know what I have inside and what you have inside. I know how wonderful it feels. But what I can do is do the very best that I can, and in the best way that I can, to help you find a way to unravel it for yourself from the inside without needing to change anything on the outside. And even whilst we're in the middle of this coronavirus. And what I'm not going to say is that once you get it, your life is going to be all fluffy and a bed of roses, and you're never going to experience any moments of feeling sad or feeling angry, because you are, because that is the nature of being human. You know, that is life. You know, life is a contact sport. You know, if you're going to be in your life, we're going to get hurt every now and again. But it's not the getting hurt that counts, it's how we navigate the hurt, the grief, the sadness, the anger. And that's what I want to help you do, or help all of you navigate it all a little bit easier, with a little bit more grace, understanding, with a little bit more kindness to yourself, so you're not beating up on yourself and judging yourself, and with a little bit more love. So, Teresa, I bet you're wishing you hadn't asked me now.
No, I'm not, but with a lot of self-reflection, I can see what's on the inside, but the outside keeps winning. So how do you turn that around?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm aware of what the patterns are, but how do you change it to always look inside rather than let the outside win?
Well, it sounds to me, Teresa, that you're halfway there, because you've just said the most.
But the other half's killing me.
Not
physically.
Not physically. But the fact that you are aware already tells me you're halfway there. Because if you're already seeing it, and I can't tell you how to take the next step. I can only share with you how I see it. And how I see it is the moment you become aware that this is an inside job, and you allow yourself, I don't even know if allowing yourself is the right word. Well, I'm just going to say what's just popped into my head, because I am, I have to walk my talk and go with what comes to me. I guess what I want to say to you is, it's a surrender. It's a moment of you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you're prepared to jump, but you're not going to jump unless there's a net there. But just because you can't see the net doesn't mean to say there isn't one there. But also, if I was to take that a step further, what if you don't need a net? What if you jump and you just fly? And to me, I think and it's interesting because I had a bit of a chat today with someone, and it's not the same thing we were talking about, it's something completely different, but it comes back to this very thing. What if you just allowed yourself to go with the experience and surrender to whatever? And now we're getting way deep for the first week of the call. But
sorry.
That's okay. I love it. And when I sent out an email earlier today, I said I have a feeling that this round of Reinventing You is going to not necessarily go in the direction that other rounds of Reinvent You've gone. So it's a good thing. So yeah, I guess there's nothing I can say right now to answer that question in the way that you're I know that intellectually you would like it answered, because the same thing. I was asking the same thing, and all I can do is just kind of to invite you just to just keep tuning in, Teresa, and keep tuning in and not looking for don't look for a how-to. Just listen for a feeling. And
maybe I'm not standing still enough and listening. Maybe that's the issue.
But the thing is, you don't even need to stand still. That's the thing,
Good.
We don't even need to stand still. I think it's we all want to figure it out. That's the intellectual mind. That's that part of our mind which is useful for figuring things out when we need to figure out. This is a bit like old speak. Sorry, my daughter's just popped in there. My kids always do this, by the way. I'll just warn you now. They always pop their head in when I'm on these calls. It's kind of like when we're trying to figure out how to wire a plug. That kind of figured it. I know we don't wire plugs nowadays, guys, but when we did, that kind of figuring out is useful. It has a place. And we need that part of our analytical mind to sometimes get things from A to B. So,
Thank you.
but some things they're best not to be figured out, but uncovered. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for your patience, everybody.
A little thing that popped into my mind there was, well, it's just the word trust, really, but there's a little saying, isn't there, about a bird landing on a branch, and it doesn't need to worry about the branch or how strong it is, or just trust its wings. And that just kind of popped into my head as we were talking there. But I absolutely get that. That used to be my thing, like, why do I keep going back into that pattern or that pattern of thinking? And it's just that awareness that that's even happening. And then just coming back to that trust within you, I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for asking. I'm really glad you asked. So as the 8 weeks unfold, we will be using this understanding to navigate some of the challenges that we all experience in life, but actually came from my book. We'll be looking at things like acceptance and forgiveness, and how we get seduced by our thoughts and all sorts of stuff like that. So I'm going to, through this understanding, kind of loosely kind of walk down this path where I will help you to kind of make sense of whatever it is that you need to make sense of. So is there any other questions? Everyone's gone quiet.
There was a few there. I was just kind of.
Oh, what's there, Lynn?
Well, just more comments and questions. Just letting things settle and just pausing. Just noticing that space between us and our thoughts and our personal thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, and Louise shared a lovely metaphor about thinking of the thoughts as the fishing rod with the bait on it. And we are the fish, and each thought we attach to can pull us in.
Absolutely.
Really lovely.
I love that. Oh, nice. I love when I get a nice metaphor. Because some people like metaphors and some people don't. But metaphors can speak to us on so many levels. They really are so helpful. That's lovely. Thank you, Louise. Okay. So I'm still trying to figure out this technical hitch I'm having behind the scenes. Gay, I don't know if you've managed to get online yet. No, it's bizarre. So please bear with me, folks. But for those of you who are having problems getting getting onto the online platform. Once you get inside the platform, there are weekly, I don't like using this phrase very much, but I'll just use it, master classes. So there's like weekly video classes. If you watch the weekly video class before we get on our call on a Wednesday, they're usually available over the weekend so that you have time to watch them. So if you can watch the weekly class before we get on our call, and then we'll usually start the call off on Wednesday evenings around what spoke to you from whatever it was that I shared, and then that will kind of weave and take the conversation in whatever direction it goes in. There are also, inside the online course, there are also some activities and things to do. You know, it's just fluff. I'm just going to be honest. And, you know, they're nice to-dos, but you really don't need to do them. I don't want anybody feeling any pressure to have to get homework done. You know, the only thing I ask, if you can, listen to that video recording that's in there. But even if you don't manage to listen to it, it's absolutely okay. You know, it's not a prerequisite for showing up on a Wednesday evening. It's just helpful because it will give you an insight into the direction the conversation will go that evening. So hopefully that takes some pressure off people. And if you've got a wee bit more extra time on your hands and you fancy doing some of the stuff that is inside the online course, then feel free to do them. For some of you, you may have access to the Spring Clean Your Mind. That is a nice, very short, sharp little video series, and again, it's just listening. So if you fancy listening to that, it's definitely, well, I think it's worth listening to. Even though I did it a wee while back, I can still listen back to that little Spring Clean Your Mind. And even though I'm speaking, I hear things like, oh, did I really say that? That resonates with me in a whole different way now. So yeah, and so that's it really. If there's anybody here who've come on as our guests and would like to actually join the Reinvent You group for the next week, 8 weeks and forever, because once you're in the programme, that's you get to come back time and time again. You're very welcome to join and get access to all the other stuff. If that is the case, I'd ask you just to ping me over a little message and I'll send you the offer for the course, because I did a COVID-19 discount and I think it's £49, so it's a really good time to come in and join the programme. Anyway, that's me. Unless there's anything else that people would like to ask, I think I will call it a night for now. Lynn, is there anything you want to say while people are figuring out if they want to speak?
No, I think that's been a really lovely explanation, and yeah, and I love the whole thing about this course is that you don't have to do anything and just listen, and nothing to do, which when you've been through years of self-development as such, there's always stuff to do, isn't there, and tasks to complete and all the rest. So just listen and notice in whatever space that you find yourself in. And yeah, that's all I was going to add.
Lovely. Thank you, Lynn. So with that, I shall bid you all farewell. And yeah, thank you for being here with me tonight. It's been amazing. And have an amazing week. And I'll see you next Wednesday. I've unmuted you all if you want to say goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.